Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be starting shortly in about a minute's time. Quick introduction. My name is Inshara Jagannath from the NASSCOM Industry Partnership Program, which is an initiative under the NASSCOM 10,000 Startups Program. A very warm welcome to the first amongst a series of informative and interactive sessions that we have put together for you as part of the NASSCOM India FinTech Awards Knowledge Series Future of FinTech. So the objective of the series is to understand from our industry experts and get insights on various topics that shape the fintech space, and also to kind of learn about the upcoming innovations and trends in this sector. And parallelly, as you may have already come across, we've been inviting applications for the NASSCOM India FinTech Awards under various categories such as payments, insurance, lending, financial inclusion, retail banking, and regulatory compliances. So all this comes under the overarching theme of FinTech transforming the digital world. The link to apply for the awards will also be shared with you shortly in the chat section. So request you to keep an eye out and please do apply. Now to get started, today's session is dedicated to, as we may all agree, the flag bearer of the Indian fintech space, which is digital payments. In 2010, India launched its first real-time payment system, IMPS, and introduced UPI in 2016. It is also said that India will contribute about 2.2% of the world's digital payments market by 2023. And the value of such transactions is expected to reach $12.4 trillion globally by 2025. So with that bit of a background to set the context, I would now like to invite Shivani from our NASSCOM research team to present the early findings from our digital payment surveys. So Shivani, thanks for joining us, and over to you.
Thank you, Inchara. Thanks for a warm welcome. And hello, everyone. A very good morning. Today I would like to present about digital payments and the surveys that NASSCOM Insights precisely has been doing. Before that, I'll just quickly brief about myself. I'm working with NASSCOM Insights, and as part of this team, currently we are doing some research projects and ambitious research projects wherein we are trying to understand how the digital payments landscape has been over the last 20 years, how it can be over the next 5 to 10 years, and what are the changes in the consumer behavior that we are seeing over this period. Now, this is an ambitious project wherein we are trying to also build up an index for the adoption and the degree of penetration of digital payments in India across various user segments. So I have shared my screen here. I would just briefly talk about the initial findings from our current surveys and what are the initial trends, adoption trends that we are seeing per se digital payments across various user segments in India. Now, before that, I mean, if we talk about digital payments, I mean, India's digital payment story has been spectacular. Most of us who have been part of this industry or have been curious about this industry, we know, I mean, since the beginning of this century, we have seen an evolution, a steep in the evolution of digital payments. That is something very special to India. I mean, from just below less than $1 billion in around 2000. In FY 2020, India's digital payments volume was around 34 plus billion, which is pretty huge and compared to other economies. And moreover, this is a CAGR or 20-year CAGR of around 20%, which is phenomenal. And along with it, if we have a deeper insight into the evolution of this volume of digital payments in India, we will be enlightened to see that over the last 5 to 10 years specifically, if we talk about from 2015, the CAGR, the growth in the volume of digital payments transactions in India has been spectacular, has been a high double-digit number, which is much ahead of what we were seeing in the early years of this century. For example, from 2005 to 2010, it was around a 7% CAGR, zooming up to 17%. And then in the last 5 years, it has seen 49%. So these clearly are certain inflection points that RBI transaction data shows for digital payments in India. And if we look deeper, these are not just inflection points, these are turning points in the digital payments evolution story in India, marked by certain influencing factors. And those also mark the demarcation of the eras or the stages in the digital payments in India. For to mark those from 2000 to 2010 is a period which showed a very low rise in digital payments, and it was primarily marked by limited usage of credit cards and RTGS transfers. Even NEFT and IMPS hadn't picked up to that scale, and it was primarily marked by tier 1 areas and high HNI customers using digital payments, and primarily the market was dominated by certain global players like Visa and Mastercard. Okay, so and this period hardly showed a growth of 7%, a decade showing just a growth of around 7% in the volumes of digital payments. Moving on further, we see starting 2010 to around 2017, 16, 17, there is around 17% of growth in volumes, which is a good growth. And this is also an era which marked the beginnings of the wallets in India. The Paytms, the Oxygens, the MobiWix started coming of the world. They were trying to innovate. They were trying to come up with alternative, innovative payment solution methods. And this is an era which we call 2.0, because this is the period where consumers, and not only consumers but also merchants, and also beyond tier 1, in tier 2 we could start seeing an adoption of digital payments. And then came demonetization, then came NPCI, then came the launch of an innovative product by NPCI, UPI, which marked the beginning of another era of adoption. And especially since 2017, we can see there is a huge spark in the adoption of digital payments, in the volumes of transactions that is happening, and it is happening across products now. It is not just credit cards, it is not just debit cards. People have started using UPI, and there is an app led payment integration that is happening. There is the Bheem app, there is the QR code scanning method that is being used extensively, and contactless payments have seen a jump, marking a CAGR of 49% from 2015 to 2020 itself. And with the advent of COVID, all these trends that were already pushing India towards a contactless payments era, okay, have got even further accelerated. So this is being accelerated by COVID and many other trends, and it will go on till another 5 to 6 years, making India reach around 550 billion of transactions by 2025. So this is something that I like to talk about. Now, if we look deeper through the surveys that we have recently done since September to November, and some of the surveys are currently ongoing, I would like to talk about some of the initial consumer behaviors that we are seeing across user segments. We have primarily surveyed three user segments: the individuals, people like you and me, the Indian citizens residing in India; the merchants, I mean, the mom and pop stores, the micro business players who operate at an annual turnover of less than 5 crores. And the third segment is about the SMEs and the large enterprises. So these are the three user segments that we have surveyed separately on various parameters. And some of the interesting findings that we are seeing, talking about the individual user adoption primarily, we are seeing that this is something, digital payments is something that is being taken up very positively among the individuals across age groups, across tiers, and 75% of them call it out as a primary method of payment, or even as a complete substitute method, meaning no cash, no paper money transaction at all. Out of which 37% is actually no cash, no paper money. So this is a very interesting trend, a strong positive adoption trend that we are seeing among the individuals. Moreover, the preferred method, which has shifted from credit cards or debit cards or just EFT transactions to UPI, with 66% of the individuals that we have surveyed calling out as the most preferred digital payment method for any of their spend areas. And the spend area also that they have pointed out primarily is domestic money transfers, with 62% of individuals using any form of digital payment method in order to make a money transfer to their friends and families. However, one thing that we have noticed is that the average transaction size among the individuals is still low, which is wherein 69% of individuals use it for a transaction size of less than 2000 bucks only, INR only, which is something that can be taken as a cause of concern and also as an opportunity which the solution providers can look to delve into and make the transaction size, not just the volumes but also the value of digital payments rise in India. Another interesting thing that we have done is also trying to find out the maturity segments, the mature adopter segments within these individuals of India, and at the same time the low adopter segments, which can be the pockets of growth for the future, for the next 5 years, uh, if they are harnessed properly by the solution providers and their demands are being fulfilled. So what we have seen is basically that tier 1 and 2 are basically the high adopters. Among individuals, tier 3, 4, and the lower end tiers is something that is still not adopting at a high scale. And males are higher adopters, with 72% of males adopting digital payments as high adopters, and females are less adopting digital payments. It could be also primarily because they are not dwelling out into so many activities, but this is a trend that we are seeing. Along with it, the middle age groups is the highest segment adopter, with 77% of them being high adopters. And as compared to the youth, which is the common notion that youth between the age group of 25 to 40 years is the high adopter. And similarly, high income group is a high adopter. Now, if we look at these maturity segments, it is a clear case for us that females of India residing in tiers 3 and 4, people residing in 3 and 4 tiers and even beyond, and the youth and the golden ages of India, and the lower income groups are the untapped segments of India from a digital payments perspective. Now, similar analysis if we do for merchants, which are the mom and pop stores. I mean, everybody is trying to digitize them, from Reliance to Amazon. Everybody is trying to digitize them. They are the apple of eye for everyone right now. Now, if we talk about the merchant users these days, what we have seen is based on our survey that 76% of them show a strong positive trend towards adoption, with either taking it up as a complete substitute or as a primary method of adoption. And again in them the UPI is the preferred method. I mean, over and above physical or contactless POS terminals, UPI is the preferred method among them for any kind of digital transaction, whether they are receiving payments from their suppliers or vendors, or making payments or anywhere else. And still there is 21% of merchants who say they have never used, but the positive sign that we have seen is around 90% of those merchants plan to use it in the near future. They see the change in the economy, and they see the demand coming from their consumers, and they plan to use it in near future, which is again a positive trend. 83% of these merchants use it for receiving customer payments beyond anything else. I mean, probably still they are making their supplier payments through cash and paper money, but customer payments is something they are massively using digital payments for receiving those kind of payments. The ticket size still remains small, with 70% of them using it for INR less than 1 lakh. The ticket size is small, and this is again an area that can be looked up, and they have security concerns related to this also we'll be talking about going forward. And again, what we have seen interestingly is tier 2 merchants are higher adopters as compared to tier 1 merchants, and merchants that do both kind of businesses, basically to consumers, they sell to consumers as well as to other merchants or businesses. Those are the kind of players that are higher adopters of digital payments as compared to merchants who are only doing consumer interactions or only doing a B2B interaction. And also among the various kind of vendors, fixed store merchants are somebody who are adopting. 23% of them are high adopters as compared to street or roving vendors or home-based business merchants or individual service providers. So these are the areas when we talk about street and roving vendors, home-based businesses. M2C merchants only, and merchants in tier 1 that need to be enticed to use digital payments more. These are the pockets of growth among the merchants of India. Among SMEs and large enterprises that we talk about, we see an extremely strong, higher than what we have seen in individuals and in micro business players like merchants. 95% among Indian SMEs and large enterprises are users of digital payment methods. They have been using it over the last 2 years and plan to use it again in the future. And hardly 3% of them have never used it. So they are completely exploring the various innovative options available to them. The most preferred method, however, stays among them as debit cards, which is the age old method. They have not yet delved so much into UPIs and M wallets, which can be a cause of concern, which can be looked into as a pocket of growth, exploring them to from primitive digital payment methods to latest digital payment methods. The ticket size is still small, and not in terms of 3,000 crores or 1,000 crores. 62% of SMEs and large enterprises use it only for an INR of less than 2 crores, and mainly for direct tax payments. 68% of them using it for that, with hardly any usage for receiving customer payments or making supplier transactions. That is still cash obsessed at their end for now. And tier 3, 4 SMEs is something that we have found as higher adopters as compared to tier 1 and tier 2 SMEs, which is an interesting adoption trend, which means that tier 3 and 4 SMEs are more open to these latest payment solutions that are coming up. And tier 1 and tier 2 need to be motivated more in order to bring up, there is a need of a more push or a pull towards them in order to make them adopt more of digital payments. And similarly, the early age enterprises that have been in the market for 2 to 5 years, are the higher adopters, with 28% of them being adopting them as high adopters, and 24% of large enterprises are higher adopters. So as we see, large enterprises, early age enterprises, and tier 3 and 4 SMEs are the higher adopter segments, leaving the others as low adopters. So tier 1 and 2 SMEs and the early stage startups with 0 to 2 years of business age, and also the older age enterprises with more than 5 years of age in the market, they are pockets of growth in the SME and the large enterprises segment. They need to be enticed and pushed towards higher deployment of digital payments. Now, this was about what we have found out as the pockets of growth. We also looked into what can be the drivers or the challenges that are making these certain segments adopt more of digital payments, and also hindering the wide scale adoption of digital payments. So some of the interesting trends, just to gist it around quickly and wrap it up, some of the interesting drivers that we have seen cited by individuals as well as merchants and enterprises is convenience and user friendliness and faster transactions. This is the biggest driver that has been cited across all user segments, with 50% of or more of them citing this as a reason to use digital payments over and above any kind of cash or paper money transaction, which they have been doing for so many years now. So an improved money flow, both on the inflow and the outflow terms, is something that is driving the merchants and SMEs and large enterprises. 52% of merchants being driven by that, and 45% of SMEs and large enterprises being driven by the inflow, the quicker inflow, the swifter inflow, lesser bottlenecks in conversion of paper into cash, or getting cash released from their suppliers or vendors or from any other interaction party, is a driving force for them to shift to digital payments and adopt it. And another driving force which have been seen is access to more organized and trusted payment system than cash and the paper money and the age old banking systems that they have been relying on. That is something that is driving all user segments, including individuals, merchants, and enterprises, to adopt digital payments. However, the biggest barrier that has been seen by most of the section of the Indian economy is the security and the financial fraud. in the digital payments section, in the digital payments arena, which we do not see, which they see it less in cash and paper money. 60% of merchants cite security and financial fraud as a concern for massive adoption of digital payments, or for using cash and paper money still as part of their business transactions. So financial fraud is a biggest concern. Along with it, PII, personal identifiable information theft, and malware and phishing attack is something that has been cited as a concern by most of the individuals. In addition to that, complexity in using digital payments. Most of the individuals, 30% of the individuals, find it as a barrier. And a deeper insight into that made us have a look that 90% of individuals are still relying on hidden trial methods and self-learning methods on digital payments. The digital literacy in that terms is really low, with a shortage of availability of formal training methods from the players, from the RBI and the other regulators, or the other bigger players in the market, on literating the individuals and the merchants on digital payments, because of which they are finding it complex and are hindered by to adopt digital payments on a larger scale. So if we look at these certain barriers, I'm sure the lower pockets of adoption can be increased, and we can spread digital payment adoption and penetrate it to deeper segments across India. So this is what I wanted to share from our initial surveys that we are doing, and hope this would help us understand better about the market and the consumer behavior. And over to you, Inchara, now.
Thanks, Shivani. Exciting to hear that the digital payments volume in India is expected to be over 34 billion in the financial year of 2020. And this at 20-year CAGR of 20.68, they're quite notable figures, I think. So before we move on to introducing our speaker for the day, it's interesting to note that there are over 375 payment startups in the country today. And mobile and digital wallets, gateways, POS, and mobile POS subsegments, they all account for over 50% of the payment startups in India. So to help us understand this better, we have with us a speaker from one of the pioneer organizations in the payment space. And during the course of his address, we encourage the audience to ask questions. Kindly enter your questions in the chat section, and we'll come back to it towards the end of the address. So I would now like to invite Dharmender Jham, Vice President of Paytm, to take the stage. Dharmender, thank you so much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to have you kickstart the first of our series, and I'm sure the audience is keenly waiting to hear all that you have to share with us today.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to NASSCOM for arranging such an informative session, and thanks to Shivani for sharing the insights of the survey. So the survey is really brought the core sense in terms of the field level sense post-COVID scenario and during COVID scenario. The survey was conducted. So how merchant and customer ecosystem is evolving, that has been very well brought out by the survey. We look forward to the report, the final report of NASSCOM on this subject. Thank you, Shivani, for this, and thank you for the NASSCOM team overall. So as Inchara told you that I'm from Paytm, and I lead the public policy and government relations aspects at Paytm. And we jointly work with NASSCOM team in this study. So I think from the COVID perspective, if I broadly tell you about that, how overall fintech system has impacted from COVID. So in the April and the May month, there was some downside in terms of transactions, in terms of merchant growth, in terms of the digital payments acceptance infrastructure penetration, because at field level the teams which deploy infrastructure could not able to move. But at the same time, we saw new use cases of digital payments emerging, like restaurant contactless food ordering use cases, where restaurants and the medicine shops, pharmaceutical shops, they they enabled themselves so that there is contactless payment at their level. And also because these are the most used segment, and these were the only operating segments in the lockdown or just post lockdown scenario. So these use cases emerged very strongly. Even Paytm launched its QR code based food ordering app, where many of the like across many of the cities we have onboarded restaurants who would like to adopt the restaurant ordering. So at restaurant, if anybody is ordering, so there is no need to touch menu card, there is no need to touch the POS machine. Everything can be done using an app, using the food ordering QR code. So that was one innovation which has happened. And if you have seen the trends that Shwani told, that the digital payments post COVID scenario from the July month, it has been phenomenal. UPI has shown the growth, even the higher growth in the month of August, September, and later on, and it will continue to grow that faster. It is expected that it will soon reach 1 billion transactions per day. The way it is growing, and the way consumer base is adopting UPI as a payment method. So I think, Shwani, we can move forward with the questions if anybody has any kind of questions regarding the subject, because payments is a very vast subject. We can cover many aspects of the payments in terms of security, in terms of awareness, in terms of technology, usage of emerging technology. In case you have specific questions, let us move towards that. And even audience, we would be happy to understand what are your concerns, what are your questions. Are there any perceptions or risks that hinders you from adoption of digital payments, that we can help in addressing those queries? Yes, Shivani, over to you.
Yes, so Dharmender, we do have some questions coming in. Yeah, so one of them is, what do you think about fingerprint payments and about cryptocurrency? What are your thoughts on that?
Sure. So first of all, fingerprint payments, there is a product which is already live. If you may have used, it is called as Bheem Aadhaar Pay. So this is a product which is built on the Aadhaar enabled payment systems. This has been live since demonetization. I think after 6 months of demonetization, NPCI launched it. So any merchant can use this product and at its shop, and a very it's an economical option where merchant can keep a fingerprint reader, and anybody can come to the merchant shop, uh, give the give the finger impression and tell the bank account, and then make payments through that. This is a system which is already live. As per my understanding, more than 15 lakh such devices have been used at merchant places across India. So government of India was very much emphasizing the usage of fingerprint based payments, because this is enabled by Aadhaar, and there is a strong authentication mechanism of the payments. But there is one catch: the only Aadhaar linked bank accounts can only do this payments. So that is a mandate, because otherwise the bank account linked to that Aadhaar, only that account can be used for the transactions. So that is on the fingerprint payment system. It is live, it is secure, it has been encouraged by government of India to be used at the tier 3 and below cities levels. So that is on fingerprint. And about the cryptocurrency, so this is enlighten something regarding cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency is something you may be aware that there was a ban on usage and, or rather, trade of cryptocurrency by Reserve Bank. And now I think there was a Supreme Court decision that it may be used, or it may be further think of using So Government of India, as per the public reports, is working on regulation on this subject. And once this regulation is out, then only it will be available for Indian users for trading and purchases of cryptocurrency. Right now, this is I would say that this is in the decision making stage.
Okay, thank you for that. So another question that Mahendra, so India's digital payments landscape is quite disrupted, as we can all agree, with high double-digit growth since 2017 and mainstreaming of UPI and wallets. But, COVID-19 seems to be a shot in the arm. So where do you think digital payments will be headed over the next, say, 5 years? Is there maybe is the sector envisioning a 10-year strategy? What are your thoughts on these?
So, so I would not say that this COVID showed the world that the digital payments ecosystem and the fintech ecosystem, the resilience of fintech ecosystem which is there, and which this country has shown that despite of such a downside in every sector, this sector actually uh, supported other sectors in accepting payments and continue moving. There was no downside. There was a, you can say, V-shaped recovery in this. So for 1 or 2 months that there was a downside, and after that it recovered much better than the pre-lockdown phase or pre-COVID phase. So there is no shutdown. Rather, we learned, we developed new use cases. We developed um, uh, the much more stronger use cases which are usable for Indian citizens. So I think whole world is looking forward. So if you see in terms of investments in fintech, we are third. So US, UK, and then India. UK, like couple of days back, it was in the news that, and also if you see the UK reports that UK is considered as the second best destination for fintechs and for the growth of fintechs. But now India is getting very closer to UK's ecosystem of development of fintech and the increasing ease of doing business or increasing launching of fintech products in India. So absolutely fintech products are doing great. For the startup ecosystem, this is a one use case which will continue to grow. The investments and whole world is looking at it. So I'd like to highlight that the Paytm ecosystem, the Paytm journey has been seen globally as a use case, and many countries are trying to learn from us, not only from Paytm but from all the leading payments ecosystem players. So now specifically answering to your question, there are two use cases I would say that those will emerge in next 10 years. So first use case is lending. So lending is still at the nascent stage, I would say, in terms of adoption in comparison to the other global economies or developing economies. So lending is one use case which would be like the at its prime in next few years. So particularly SME based lending usage of by using the latest uh, artificial intelligence techniques. Right now our lending is based upon the credit score based model, but there are innovative models which are being developed using AI tools which can be used, and without any credit score also anybody can get loan, the smaller loans basis the wider range of parameters. I think many of the government systems are working towards that. If you talk about eKYC Setu, or if you talk about digital locker, they are acting as a repository for citizens information, and that can be used in giving or selecting the loan credit or loan the eligibility for the loan for many of the people who do not have a credit score, or who do not have a very good credit score, that can act as an alternate mechanism. Second use case which is in next year I would expect to boom is the national common mobility card. Like FASTag has revolutionized the toll ecosystem. National common mobility card, you need not to have multiple cards in your wallet to transact. So that one card, and that card may also, a plastic card may also disappear. It may be a virtual debit or credit card, which can be used for making all the transactions. So I think that is a use case now. Right now, if you see, there are in many of the smart cities, the projects, the transit projects which are going on, the interoperability lacks. So if there is an interoperable national level uh, common mobility card which can be used at any of the metro across India, any of the railway stations across India, any of the bus station or bus stops, or we can transit any of the auto rickshaws where one card can be, transit card can be used, rather a debit card. Like Transport for London has adopted open credit card, open credit or debit card, which can be used for transit and which can be used at merchant, which can be used for cash withdrawal. That is the future that is yet to be seen in India, and that will emerge in next few years. That's what I think.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So the next question, so what according to you has maybe been like the biggest shift in the past couple of months due to the lockdown? Which one stands more prominent, basically, consumer pull or the maturity of the payments technology?
So consumer pull in terms of contactless payment, if you see, the consumers are moving from the contact-based payments to contactless payments. So the focus is towards that, and every fintech, every bank is now working towards the more towards the contactless payments rather than plastic-based payments. So I think there is the use case of usage of credit card using UPI is also a next use case that will be a big use case that will be coming. That how can I transact using my credit card using UPI by scanning a QR code? Right now, I have to use my credit card and touch it or tap it. Tap if it is an NFC based enabled card, so I have to tap it at the POS device, or I have to hand it over to the merchant so that he can tap it up. So that is the from the demand side, that's a use case which is emerging. And also, if you talk about, I told you, the restaurant based ordering, or the any restaurant or any service delivery platform is looking for contactless solution which are available for its customers, so that customers have least touch point to the merchant, so that the level of infection or level of spread of the COVID is much lesser than the earlier. So these are the use cases from the consumer side, which is developing. And supply side, accordingly, the companies which are developing use cases for such customers, we as a Paytm is also working very aggressively towards moving to many of the solutions which caters to such kind of demand side use cases, being the COVID impact.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. So coming to say the security and the trust factors when it comes to digital payment modes, do you think that's a concern today? Especially, those that are mobile based. And moreover, we'd like to understand what sort of steps you think are appropriate to take to address such issues on financial fraud and the fear of it.
Okay, that is, I think, the very good question, and that is all of the participants in this session must understand that the security and the secure payments, the because the payments is a subject which anybody starts transacting on the payments if that person thinks that it is secure. Because security, people believe that convenience and security and the cost to transact are the major factors, but I would believe that trust, the trust on the digital payment ecosystem drives the growth. So if I would still say that despite of so much of growth of digital payments, India is at nascent stage, very nascent stage of adoption of digital payments in terms of the wider reach, the wider penetration which is there. Now we are not even at the stage of maturing of urban cities. So there is a tier 3 and below cities where much scope is there. So trust is an important factor for first time users. Absolutely. And any concerns related to trust must be addressed. And the I would like to highlight few things for the startups and for whomsoever is listening this, that Reserve Bank of India has taken adequate care in terms of protecting customers by if you see the RBI guidelines on limitation of liability of a customer if customer reports unauthorized transactions to respective banks, and banks have been asked to enable channels and access to customers so that they can report their frauds. Suppose I give you an example of that regulation, that in case a customer reports unauthorized transactions within 3 days or 72 hours of the transaction, then the further liability of the unauthorized transaction is transferred to the bank, and customer will not be any liable for any kind of unauthorized transaction. So RBI has protected from customers from any kind of unauthorized transactions which are happening due to any lapse in the systems, and which is due to the ecosystem. Let it be a cyber attack or something so from regulation perspective, it is consumers are protected, and this is not today's regulation. This is July 2018 regulation on all for all digital payments operators. So that is one thing I'd like to highlight. And second, I'd like to highlight that the ecosystem players, let it be Paytm or any other ecosystem player, have enabled their systems from all kind of attack. The one emerging attack you might have seen is the phishing attack. Like, people who are first time users, they get phishing SMSs, phishing calls to either share their card credentials, or to install a screen sharing app, or to go to website and actually enter your card details. So all these patterns are emerging, and actually the ecosystem players are getting smarter and smarter. Because I give you example of us, that we have taken adequate measures in terms of this phishing attacks, and Government of India has also brought this regulation of CCCPR, where the commercial communication using SMSs, the unsolicited commercial communication is being regulated. All telemarketers or SMS sending agencies are required to register on a DLT based platform. So this is a use case that globally, this is something you should be surprising to all of us, that globally, for stopping the phishing SMSs, or I would say unsolicited commercial communication, TRAI has implemented distributed ledger technology based platform, where every telemarketer is required to register itself, register the header, the 6 to 11 character header. Then it is required to register its content template, the SMS that is it is going to send to its customers. And then the last phase, it is required to register its consent. So that 5 level of registration is required for every SMS sending agency in this country. So this is a use case which is very unique to India, and so government has taken this excellent step in protecting customers from this unsolicited commercial communication, which is this regulation was in effect from 6th of July 2018, and now in last few years it is being implemented by telecom players, and so that every SMS sending agency must be registered, and no unregistered entity will be allowed to send any kind of communication to its customers, or to any of the mobile user. So that is which we have learned in last few uh, uh, days as part of COVID journey. So over to you, Shivani.
Right. So yeah, you touched upon the regulations topic a little bit. So just to sort of deep dive into that a little bit more, since it's so evergreen in this sector. So for example, what according to you maybe are the policy discussions and actions that we need to address on priority? Maybe some future policy areas that are currently being overlooked and things like that. So keen to hear your thoughts on this.
No, I would say that in last 5 years, if this country has seen this unprecedented journey of growth of digital payments is as the government and the regulator has the prime role to play. If you see the concept of payments bank, the large number of PPIs which have been allowed, the UPI ecosystem which has been developed, Aadhaar enabled payment systems which is developed using Bhim Aadhaar Pay that I was telling. If you see POS ecosystem, the October 2016, before the I think before the demonetization, it was 14 lakh POS devices. Today we have 55 lakh, if I'm not wrong, POS devices in this country. So this has threefold. So even more than that. So this is the pace at which digital payments is growing, and I think the from regulatory side, the push which may be further given on the adoption of national common mobility card. That's one thing, as I earlier told that that is the next use case for transit payments. Transit payments are also these days are either not interoperable, or they are in cash. So particularly the bus payments. So how can an interoperable, countrywide interoperable uh, transit payment system can be developed? So that's the next big thing that country can see. And also from the lending side, lending use case, if there is a easier method of getting loans, like if you've seen the PM Swanidhi Yojana, where government has launched an excellent scheme where government is government is giving every street vendor 10,000 rupee collateral free loan and on usage of digital payments, and also the vendor is also receiving cashback benefits. So government has taken excellent steps. Digidhan mission, which has been formed at Ministry of IT, has incentivized MDR, or so many schemes have been. So the only uh, thing that may be assured in future or for the long term, that cost of cash, the cost of usage of cash should be equal or higher. So digital payments usage should not be higher, so it should be equal. That should be the principle on which every policy may be evaluated, that by doing this policy, are we making digital payments cheaper than cash or not? If you are making digital payments expensive than cash, usage of cash, then this is not in the right direction. That means we are encouraging people to use cash and not use the digital payments method. So that is from the economic principle. It should be, first of all, equal to the cash, and even if it is possible, the cost of cash, the digital payments should be less than the usage of cash, or the cost of cash should be lesser than that. So that is one thing. And also from the secure usage perspective, uh, my submission to the ecosystem and regulator and to the government is that the awareness campaign which are already being launched, in terms of awareness, in terms of this should be continued, particularly for the new age users. Because right now, if you see the new users which are adopting digital payments in last few months, in last 3 to 4 months, have been at very higher rate. New UPI users, new wallet users have been very at the highest stage. So the risk of frauds also is increasing. If you see the RBI data, the number of frauds per 1 lakh people has grown at the similar pace as the number of digital payments transactions have grown. So there is a need to keep new users aware about the risks, aware about the secure usage, so that the phishing attacks, so that the new users who are adopting this digital payments are not get disincentivized due to all these fraudsters. So that the awareness campaign is absolutely necessary in the present stage. Over to you, Shivani.
Thanks, Arminder. Yeah, so I think we have time to squeeze in probably two more questions. G1 would like to know which market sectors have a significant surge in digital payments considering the recent COVID era.
So market sector, see, if I talk about data perspective, the food ordering is the sector which has emerged, pharmaceutical which has emerged, usage of digital payments, definitely a sector which has seen significant growth. And interestingly, you will be surprised to know the FASTag is also post-COVID, when lockdown was over. So people are using FASTag more than even the pre-lockdown phase. So this may be due to other factors also, but pharmaceutical, bill payments. Third is bill payments. That is also emerged, that people are adopting digital payments methods for paying their utility bills. That is third sector, which is actually has grown very prominently because of the lack of travel. And we hope that post lockdown phase, this trend continues to stay and rather further grow. And in terms of, I think I would, as per my understanding, these are the sectors which have seen the growth. I do not have any industry study to support my views, but there would be industry studies and the data which will be presented, I think, which will tell this whole story, that which sectors are more recipient or more resilient to this COVID, and they have actually further propelled the growth of digital journey for the country.
Right. I think we need a bit more time to kind of, point out the specific sectors also.
Yes.
So Natarajan would like to know which would grow faster in the future, NFC or biometric-based payments, or any other means that you may think.
Thanks for asking this question. Very interesting that whether NFC will grow or biometric will grow. So the trends that we have seen, the usage of biometric in the urban ecosystem, because this biometric ecosystem has been there. If you see the AEPS or the BHIM, the Aadhaar usage trends in the urban sector, is not very encouraging. So, but if you see the biometric usage trend in the rural area, where they are used to of receiving direct benefit transfers or cash out using micro ATMs. So there the usage of biometric devices is much more prominent. So my view is that this will be an interesting trend. In NFC is much more prominent and would be used in uh, in urban sector. In government, it is the growth is towards the biometric based payments, because they are not using cards as it was expected, because they now, if you are aware that after Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, uh, like there are 33 crore plus RuPay cards have been issued, and the issuance of the card has grown very fast pace in Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana period. So, but the usage of card at the rural area is yet to grow at the similar pace in terms of per card transactions. So this would be a interesting trend to see. But my bet is that NFC would grow much faster in case the people start using NFC based cards. So that is my view, that NFC is bound to grow, because it is for petty payments less than 2000. This is very convenient. But also you may understand that the rural level, the level of secure usage for 2000 rupee, because you can just tap it and your money will be gone from your account. So it has to be made uh, very like clear to the users that this is a risk which is involved, and you should use your card very selectively and very carefully at the POS devices, so that your because there is no PIN required for less than 2,000 payment. But in urban, for the much learned segment, yes, they are much more aware about this. But it was a risk which was seen at the launch of the NFC card, but gradually we didn't see that much misuse of this contactless payment. So I would expect that NFC would grow at much faster pace than biometric based payments. It's not something either or both may grow at its based upon its user base, but this is my view.
Okay, one last question. So taking into account the impact of the current economy today, what do you think its bearing will be on consumer spending habits? And in terms of, say, building solutions and catering to the right needs, what do we need to keep an eye out for? Or how do we manage this?
Could you just repeat? I couldn't get your first line. Sorry for that.
Sure. So in terms of the impact that the current economy will have on payments, will there be a shift in consumer spending habits and loyalty, and how do we manage this in terms of producing the right solutions?
So the consumer spending, so you may very well evaluate that the usage of digital payments is directly proportional or directly correlated to the growth of digital payments. And even so in future, the consumer, if consumer spending grows in a particular use case or particular areas apart from the daily use cases, so that would drive digital payments. And particularly, I'll tell you that the daily use cases, if those have more adoption of digital payments, like merchant payments, one of the prominent users of daily consumer buying behavior or spending pattern, or the transit payments. So anybody uses transport for commutation, and these are, if you see the merchant adoption at the higher pace and the transit payments at the higher pace. At the higher pace, I mean that tier 3 and below cities also get penetrated at each of the merchant level. Then I think there will be a huge growth in terms of digital payments along with the consumer spending. Right now, the transit payments, particularly the petty cash, it is all in cash. It's very much not penetrated by digital payments ecosystem. So in urban area, you even in urban areas also, many of the cities, the bus payments are still cash. So apart, if you leave about the few of the smart cities or few of the large metro cities, the payments with the buses, which is a part of daily transport, is still cash. So the correlation between the consumer buying and the digital payments will largely depend upon the enablement of digital payments infrastructure at these use cases, which has grown very fast. And every fintech, if you talk me about the every fintech is trying to get into these use cases to ensure that the most frequent digital payments use cases in the daily usage get digitized. So that is we all are working towards, and hopefully that consumer behavior towards usage of digital payments will also continue to be in that way in future also.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you. So yes, I think we've covered quite a few questions that have come in from the audience, and in the interest of time, we'll have to wrap the session up now. So to conclude, I would once again like to thank Dharmendra for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure to have you share your expertise with us and give us such intuitive perspectives and all things fintech and digital payments in particular. And also thank you to everyone else for being such a wonderful audience. And our next session is on the future of fintech specific to insurance. It will be conducted on the 1st of December between 11 and 12 p.m. Also encouraging you all for the awards as well. Both the registration links will be up for you in the chat for your easy reference. And yes, hope to see you all in the upcoming sessions and wishing you all a great day ahead. Thank you once again, everyone. Thanks, Dharmender.
Thank you.